coming. So I'm the first of the four amigos, and I'll be providing first the context of our program, the why, and then Marina will step up and provide the first of a series of case studies in terms of economic impact. And so she's going to look really big in terms of the sort of data sets that we're collecting here at Geoscience Australia that really can be not delivered by any other sort of agency, I don't think, than this agency. And she'll be looking at it from a minerals perspective. Then David will give another case study, a return on investment case study, but more at the basic scale. And this one's around an energy theme. And then I will jump back up again and give a more focused case study around agricultural investment and a groundwater question. And then Keith will follow up at the end with the program of work that's coming together in terms of the portal and the products that are coming out of this great program. Really proud of the program. We're 80% through it. And they say the last 20% is 80% of the work, which is going to be a challenge, but it's going to be really good. We couldn't have done the work without the grace and hard work of many, many people. The traditional owners and the pastoralists and the town folks whose land we access. Our state partners in the state and territory governments who we're working with to deliver this program. It's very much a collaboration. The research capacity and our partners in the universities and in CSIRO. Our department has been amazing in supporting us in getting this program up and encouraging us to continue with it. Amazing support from the Minister. I was with him on Monday in India, and he was talking this program up there to our Indian counterparts. And of course, the staff who have made this happen. Thank you, everybody. It's a big team. So, as I said, we're going to be giving a series of case studies in terms of, we've invested $100 million into a program, what's it going to deliver in terms of a return on investment. There's very much a quadruple bottom line. That is, the economy, society, environment, and Indigenous. Those are the sort of themes that we'll be trying to weave together in this talk. And ultimately, it's about delivering an investment prospectus for Northern Australia. I had the pleasure of going up to Mount Isa and meeting Joyce McCulloch, the Mayor of Mount Isa. She invited me up there a bit over 18 months ago. And I gave a seminar to her in council chambers about this program. We've been going about a year. And I gave the talk and it went well, and we continued to talk after that. Little did I know the impact that conversation had to her and to her council and to the people of Mount Isa. Because she was a pretty new mayor, and 2 weeks before I turned up, she'd been told by Glencore, who were basically the big employer there, that they were thinking of shutting down the smelter. And of course that's pretty devastating because we're looking at several thousand jobs lost. For a regional community, that's catastrophic. And so she was really pretty bereft. And me coming in and giving I guess, an optimistic outlook for the future of a town like Mount Isa and the region was a great uplift to her. And she shared that with me and with a community of 500 people at the Geoscience Conference last year in Adelaide, where she talked about how having a program like this and coming up and talking to the people on the ground gives her hope, which is great. To be able to give people hope for the future is, I guess, what a public service is all about. But the name of the game there, in terms of the minerals, is the next Tier 1 mines. We need to find more Mount Isas. And they're going to be not where the rocks are sticking out of the ground, they're going to be undercover. So we'll be showing you the sorts of data sets that we're collecting that are opening up the search space for new mines, for new basins, and for new groundwater resources. Resources also matter to Australia as an economy. It pays our bills. It's an important part of our GDP, both minerals, energy, and agriculture. In terms of our export earnings and our balance of trade, they top the tables. And they're significant direct employers and, of course, major indirect employers, these sectors. Resources also matter to the world, particularly as we're going through a transition in energy. We're looking to increase the amount of gas that's going to be needed to be found, but also renewables. And we can see how the challenge of getting CO2 is going to be addressed by some of that. You can see that in that curve. But in order to do that, we need different sorts of resources. So we're going in towards the critical minerals. The amount of copper we're going to need to run an electric vehicle fleet and the power through renewables will take 4 times the amount of copper that we generate with traditional fossil-based fuels. So there's going to be an increasing demand for not only the amounts of resources we're going to need, but the types of resources. Of course, all of these resources, whether they're minerals and energy, intersect with water, so we really need to understand water, both surface and groundwater. But we have a problem. You think we're going great guns at the moment, the price of gold is nearly going to hit $2,000 and so on in Australian dollar terms. But we're mining our history. We need to find the next deposit. So this graph is from Richard Shoddy, and it shows going out into the future, the amount of gold we'll produce is going to dramatically decline. And we could apply the same sorts of future-looking scenarios for all the commodities. So if we want to keep that economic benefit to our country, we need to find more resources. So that's what Exploring for the Future is about. And it's linking minerals, energy and groundwater science to give us an integrated perspective of the resource potential for Northern Australia, which we believe is enormous. So we're working across, it's nearly half the continent. It's a big wide area. We have the semi-continental programs trying to map and understand, and the sort of data sets that we're bringing together are world firsts. We also have a whole lot of regional focused studies that are plugging into that overarching understanding of the geology of Northern Australia. And of course we're developing a whole lot of generic innovations from this work, which are applicable not only to this program but to many other programs. So there's sort of three parts to the work. So this is about pre-competitive information. So I'm going to use an analogy, and that's you've had a good night on the town and you're wandering out and you drop your keys. And if you drop your keys under the street light, you've got a really good chance of finding it. That's where Mount Isa is, it's under the street light. If you go out into the dark and you staggered out in there and you drop your keys, the chances of you finding it are pretty limited without being able to have a torch, a nice big torch to shine a light on it. And so too is it this information. This is the Cyclic trucks over the Barclay. What's beneath the Barclay? A major energy basin, the mineral resources, and of course water that's falling onto that land surface. Where does it go? We just don't know. It's an opaque surface. It's got a whole lot of geology to understand underneath it, and it's the sort of data sets that we collect that allow us to shine the light in that darkness and open up new opportunities. So with that, we will have the 3 case studies of investment. First minerals, then energy, then groundwater.
So finding those keys in the dark, I'm not floundering around often on a Saturday night looking for my keys. It's a great analogy. Finding pre-competitive data is exactly like looking for the keys. The information, knowledge that we gather and how we put it together can provide returns 10 times or 20 times more than the investment by government. That's the investment by industry, the returns. At GA, we look at these integrated and connected approaches and data to discovery. This modern approach is really a world first. We have international organisations and global exploration companies all coming to us for advice and using the information we provide to make billion-dollar decisions. So what have we got here? We've got the surface. That's great. We can all have a look outside. It's grass and rocks and some really cool stuff out there. We can map that quite easily. And we have covers and basins, and David will cover some of this. We have the crust. Going down 30 kilometres, it's pretty deep. Then we go deeper. So down 250 kilometres. If I've dropped my keys down there, I'm a bit stuffed, but am I? I'm going to show you how I can find those. I'll talk about surface, crust and the spheric mantle today. So how do we do this, right? How do we even start to look that deep? So Richard showed you where we're mapping, half of Australia, and I've just told you we're going to look down 250 kilometres deep. We poke and prod and measure and collect rocks, soil, minerals, water samples, and they all contain snippets of information. We measure signals, information from earthquakes and lightning strikes. We survey, map, using aircraft and seismic trucks, X-raying the earth if you like. We go to very remote areas and look and listen, monitor and record what the earth is telling us with our ingenious, clever, highly skilled staff. And we share that information with whoever will listen to us. We map the surface. We investigate much deeper, and here's a very, very quick view of some of the data products that we've mapped, that we've got available for you. All of these maps and all of this information can be used like, well, it's like a cake really, and we map all the different layers. Each layer has information that pertains to what type of minerals, indicators, maybe metals, how old things are, and where the resources are, or if they're close by. This pre-competitive information helps us see more clearly. It's the lab. We map the rocks, their physical properties, their chemical properties, their age, their relationship to each other, and where they are spatially. Each pre-competitive data set is valuable, but only when we put them together do we really see the true meaning of what's beneath the ground. We're the only country in the world who can do this. We've been told. We can start to find those keys. We can start to find where the new resources are. Putting this together also shows us what we don't know, where the gaps are, where we need to keep looking. Okay, back to this 250 kilometre deep information. So again, 250 kilometres, just think about it. It's deep, but it's really important. Until very recently, very poorly understood, particularly by people who are out there spending money on exploration. But the good news is the information's getting out there to explorers and investors on this set of data, which illuminates and connects the surface to the deep earth and can point us directly into where new deposits, where economic deposits possibly are. This new information, these new maps, revolutionise the way we've looked for some types of deposits. This breakthrough in the EFTF program has shown that 85% of giant sediment-hosted base metal copper, lead, zinc deposits, through some very clever modelling, we now know these super deposits all lie within 200 kilometres of this modelled boundary. Now I'm getting there. There we go. This modelled boundary, you see the dark blue, black line dashed. We have the line that goes all across Australia, but I'm just focusing in on a small area for you here. And the modelling that's gone into this has also showed us that the probability that these giant sediment-hosted base metal deposits are not just likely to lie on that line or close to that line, within 200 kilometres of that line, but there's a 1 in 10 trillion chance that they're not within that search space. So where are you going to look for lead, copper, zinc, sedimentary hosted deposits? You're going to start there. What have we done? We've focused the light on that area to look for these metals. But it's just one piece of the puzzle, right? This is just one type of mineral deposit, one type of mineral system. But it's worth potentially $200 million in metal alone, with revenue of up to $300 million new revenue per annum to the Australian economy if we find the new one. So I'm looking at the Tennant Creek, Mount Isa region, and I won't spend too much time here. A lot of work's gone into all this. I'll fly through it very lightly. But we can see between Tennant Creek and Mount Isa and the McArthur River area, there are 3 really well-known mineral deposits. What's happening in between them? Well, until really recently, we didn't know. Before we started the EFTF program, the information undercover, hidden, was in the dark. So we've got quite a lot of information in this area. And the new information, a new interpretation, a new knowledge add has derived a new assessment for iron, copper, gold mineral potential across the Tennant Creek to Mount Isa area. So to shed light on where new resources are, we have these maps, and they've been created, and we combine them with specialist mineral information system. This interconnected approach works. We have to look at the metals, the source, the drivers, the pathways, and the deposition. We use a very specialist tool to map these things, and it shows where areas are more likely to be highly prospective for these IOCG type mineral systems. They're shown in the warmer colours, so the oranges and reds. These are newly defined areas that explorers now can peg and invest money in. What we do see is through mapping the prospectivity of the area that we can see depth of cover, which has highlighted this new East Tenement Ridge. What does that mean? It means that the keys are much closer to the surface than we expected. They're easier to find, and we've got information there to help explorers. Again, the way we did this was through a world-first economic decision support tool. that looks at geology supporting infrastructure and royalties and can refine search spaces by giving more real predictive power to investment companies and exploration companies. You can see some of the areas are more prospective because of the infrastructure, roads and rail that are already available to support a new mine if it's discovered. To be clear, this new tool maps economic viability of developing a mineral resource, given the distribution of how deep the resource is, how hidden it is, its proximity to the roads and power, and its standard mining costs. What's next? We'll use all the information that we've collected through Exploring for the Future and we test it. We go out and drill a hole, so something that's tangible that we can really see. We've done a lot of modelling and there's a drill hole that's already there that's showing a lot of potential, and I'd ask you to stay tuned. I think we're going to hit it, Rich.
Marina and Richard for getting us started. I'm going to be talking about the basins today. So it's right up here in the top left-hand corner of this diagram, right up near the surface, down the order of 6 to 8 kilometres deep. On the edge of them, you'll see things like this, where the material starts to outcrop. But in the middle, and you've seen this picture before, this is what they look like. Now, basins are really important. They're very important from an energy point of view. They also hold a lot of our groundwater resources and many of our minerals as well. To help get started, I did want to define basins for the non-geologists in the room, because I know there are some. And they're really quite simple, actually. You can just think of them as a depressed part or a low part of the surface of the earth that accumulates things over time. And when I say time, I'm talking tens or hundreds of millions of years. And what they're accumulating is the eroded rocks and sands that flow into them, as well as the biological matter. And because this happens over a very long period of time, they start to layer on top of one another. So if it's happening over tens or hundreds of millions of years, the layers on the bottom are much older than the layers on the top. Now, all of this is happening while the earth is moving around. So the basin's being squashed and pulled and prodded and pushed around, which is causing all these deformations. So generally things will lay down fairly flat, but over time they start to get deformed. Now, all of this is really important because if we're looking to find things in the basin, whether it's energy, minerals or groundwater, we're interested in what the layers are, where they are, how thick they are, what their geometry is and what some of their physical properties are. And we want to do all of that from the top of the earth where we can't see. So we'll use a variety of information, and I'll be talking only about some of it today. The first one I want to talk about is how we understand the geometry of basins from seismic. So we have these trucks, they have a large plate on the bottom of them, and they vibrate the earth. And that sets up a seismic wave, or shaking wave if you like, propagates through the earth, and we have a number of sensors we lay out. We measure the signal, and then we get images that look like this. And then someone comes along and interprets the image and they're looking for certain things. Now, this is not a foreign concept to all of you. It is exactly the same as ultrasound. The same idea. You send a sound wave through someone's body and you're imaging what's inside, and you come back with a picture, and it takes a trained eye to interpret it. Baby, very easy to spot, but if it's soft tissue damage or a tumour or something else that's going on, you need a much more trained eye. It's a lot more difficult, and you may actually supplement it with other techniques. And we'll loop back around to that afterwards. But first, I wanted to give you an idea of some of the existing seismic we had before EFTF. So all those grey lines are available public seismic data that anyone can download and have a look at. We identified a number of gaps in this, and you can see them all over the place, but particularly those in the pale colour, because they're the ones that are buried undercover. And there was a big focus on this program at looking undercover. They're also indicative of the basins. So the two gaps I want to draw your eyes to are these two. So up here in this corner, you have the South Nicholson area crossing through the Queensland Northern Territory border into the Macarthur, and right up to the Beetaloo Basin in the top left-hand corner. And of course we hear a lot about the Beetaloo in the press at the moment. And then you've got the Canning Basin down in Western Australia. So we did seismic campaigns in all three of those. So three large campaigns, and I'll run you through them each quite quickly. First, the South Nicholson seismic, that was a project in 2017. You can see the lines in white. There was 1,100 kilometres of seismic run along the roads. And what we're looking here is to try to image the geometry of the basin. So you get a picture of that here. But then over on the left, where the seismic lines are, that's superimposed on a gravity image. And the gravity anomaly image tells you about parts of the crust which are heavier or lighter than one another. So what you see in purple are lighter parts of the crust. That's typically indicative of the basin, of a basin. And so what we've circled in the red down there is the Carrara sub-basin. That is a new basin found in the EFTF program. That was not mapped and not understood previously. Linking into this, you can see just in the purple here is that South Nicholson seismic I showed before, is the Barclay seismic. And the trucks on this one are about to start rolling in the next week or two. And what we'll do is link in that South Nicholson work all the way up to the Beetaloo in the top left-hand corner. And so we'll start to understand that broader region of the MacArthur Basin. And that will help us understand how the materials in the top left of this image are related to the bottom right, for example. We'll be able to see that underground through the seismic survey. The next one in Western Australia is Gidson seismic. It's 870 kilometres. It runs along the Canning Basin. What you see here is the seismic image, and then superimposed on this is the professional interpretation in different colours. And I really want to emphasise this concept of different layers. Right? It's the same image I showed before, but any one of those layers may have some potential for energy, minerals, or groundwater. They may have, some of them may have all or multiple ones. But the next game, once we know roughly where they are, is to try to understand something about their properties. Again, as much as possible from the surface. So to understand this, we start to bring in things like geochemistry. We want to look at the chemical signatures and geochronology to look at the age. And in some cases, we may also be looking at the material's ability to hold and distribute water, so porosity and permeability. So we did a bunch of work on sampling groundwater, and the groundwater picks up the chemical signals as it flows through these layers and tells us something about where it's been and what it's been into contact with. We take samples from the surface of the earth, particularly around the edges of the basins, like in that picture I showed you at the beginning. And then, wherever possible, we look for where drill holes have already been undertaken, or we look to do new ones. And then with each of those samples, we might be trying to determine how old they are at different layers, in this case, in different parts of the column, taken out of the drill core, or we might be looking at the chemical signatures to say something about it. And sticking with the medical analogy I introduced earlier, all of these things are very common to you in your everyday life as well. Taking groundwater samples and running them through a lab, just like the pathology of your blood samples, exactly the same thing. The doctor is looking for chemical signatures in your body, in the blood, and then interpreting that to say something that's happening inside your body. Biopsies of the skin, all sorts of different varieties, from a swab to cutting out a piece, and then biopsies into the body itself. And this is a bone marrow biopsy. I quite like this one because you can actually see it going through different layers. They're actually after the inside of the bone, so they've got to punch through a few layers to get there. And it's exactly the same concept for us. So as well as doing the groundwater sampling, as well as sampling the rocks, we look in the whole region, not just our two focus areas, which are here, around this area and out towards the west, but across that whole region of northern Australia, at all of the available drill holes. And we went through them all, we reprocessed them, we ran new tests on them, and we tried to tell the story of the geochemistry, for example, and some of the ageing as well, the geochronology. We have also planned to drill the Gidson. You can see it here on the Gidson seismic, the red dot in the bottom left. That will be a 2.2 kilometre drill hole This drilling rig arrived on site this week, and that drilling will start next week. So this is live and happening now, and that will actually allow us to test the properties in that seismic section I showed you earlier. And then we want to build all this together. So we're adding all of this geochemistry story together and putting it out in the portal. Keith will talk more about the portal later, but that will be available to everybody. And so for the first time, we're starting to build a national picture of geochemistry. This will be a place that potential explorers can come to see what's already known about the country and how they can relate their particular samples or their area of interest to what we already know. To bring all that together, Richard promised that I would deliver a case study. So I want to talk particularly about this layer here. It's the Ordovician Goldwater Formation. Now we already know in the Canning Basin that has high prospectivity for unconventional gas. What the seismic has shown us is that this basin is much larger than we thought it was. Simple calculations, it's roughly 25,000 kilometres squared larger than we thought it was. We also, as a result of this work, have much better constraints on the number of layers, what they are and how thick they are and their geometry. Piecing all this together with what we already knew about that formation, that it had 34 TCF, that's trillion cubic feet of gas in unconventional resources just in this little layer here across that whole Canning Basin. Simple calculation, it could be as many as 10 TCF larger. Now, even with very conservative extraction rates, you're looking at something around the order of $1 trillion to get that out. And that's just one of the layers. There's several others here that may well be prospective for energy. There's also groundwater there, and we know there's minerals in that area also. So on that note, I'll pass over to Rich.
Thank you, David. So moving on to water and groundwater, it very much touches on the quadruple bottom line that I introduced in the beginning. Very important for Aboriginal people, they talk about cultural water. In much of Northern Australia, incredibly arid. We're working with communities out there in terms of securing water supply. You don't live without water. The environment also depends on water. The surface water groundwater interaction, many of the rivers that are permanent are fed by groundwater systems. And of course, resource development, whether it's a minerals deposit, an energy field, or agriculture, we need water and groundwater. So it's very much that quadruple bottom line. So what is groundwater? Well, it's water underground. And this is what we call a conceptual model. So you can see the surface, this is a cross-section through the earth. You can see some high points and we can see some layering underneath, a bit like what David said. We're very much in the upper crust here, for scale, it's going to be a kilometre. We have a water table, and we have water that enters the groundwater, or becomes groundwater when it recharges and goes into what we call aquifers. And they're the bodies of rock that hold water. And they can be compartmentalised by faults, which can break the basin up, and they can be contained also by what we call aquifers or aquitars. So, in many parts of Australia, and in Northern Australia in particular, the only source of water is groundwater. And for investment, they need to know where it is, how deep it is, how much we got, and what's the quality, particularly around salinity. And this is all what we're doing in the program. So the case study I will give, and it will be just one investor, Kimberley Agricultural Investments. They're up there in the Ord part of Western Australia and in TNT. They identified a further 12,000 hectares of new agricultural land. They typically spend around $10,000 a hectare to develop it. That's around $120 million is expected to be developed just on that one pastoral holding that they're talking about. Talking to the CEO of the company, he projects around $77 million per annum in terms of cash crops. They're looking to grow cotton there. They're also looking to grow cottonseed so they can feed the cattle. So they don't have to ship the cattle down south and fatten them up to then send them to the northern market. So they're very much looking at a holistic agricultural system, and it's all underpinned by the availability of groundwater. So in order to invest that sort of money, and you can scale that up to the rest of Northern Australia, they need to know about water. Australian agriculture is coming up towards 60 bill in terms of its value. And in Northern Australia, it's quite a small percentage, only 13%. So the government recognises that there's large opportunities to develop the north for agriculture, given it comprises half the land mass. Estimates are around 16 million hectares of potential for development. So it's a huge opportunity, but fundamentally we need water. In the background there, that's the Carlton Hills Station, so it's sort of made famous by the Baz Luhrmann movie Australia. But it's important because that's where the Kimberley KAI are based. Okay, so here we are up in the order. So Marina started off really big, David came in a little bit smaller, I'm really coming into a pretty small area up there on the NT WA border. And you can see that's where Carlton Hill is. Okay, so in the past, some of the work that Geoscience Australia has done has unlocked around $1.2 billion worth of investment. This is the Ord River 2 expansion. The pink areas, so that's the yellow areas, the pink areas are the areas for potential development, and that's what we're talking about. If fully developed, up to $5 billion of investment could be realised, and of course, ongoing return to the economy in terms of the crops and the products produced by it. So our job is to map and characterise the subsurface geology and its control on the groundwater system. Fundamentally, we want to assess the potential for soil and salinity hazard as well. It's all very well having this land, but if you brew salt in, then you're going to kill it. So let's just zoom into this area, and I'm just going to show some work we've done about trying to understand the surface in great detail. And of course, we have a much larger area that we've covered, but I just want to zoom in there because it shows it for illustrative purposes. So here we have the shuttle radar. We've got it all over Australia. It's a 25-metre pixel. It gives you a good understanding of where the hills are and where the plains are, and we can see the rivers and so on. But we commissioned a LiDAR survey and much higher resolution, around 30-metre pixels, and you can start seeing much more subtlety in the landscape. And this is really important for us to be able to map the soils, to map where those recharge areas are, and to try and identify where some of those aquitars, particularly these black soil plains, which I'll come to, which do become aquitars. So it's important we understand the surface. And we get out there on the ground to also collect samples and map and understand the surface. So we're able to look at the sort of the surface-looking data sets and put them into a geological context. We can also use satellites to help map the surface, and we have the DEA, the Australia products, with water observations from space is just one of the products. And what it's showing is the accumulation of water through time. And you can see most of the area is bone dry. So groundwater is seriously the only available water that you could rely on over much of that area. So waters are obviously in the blue colour, the ocean, and going to green it's got periods of water, ready areas, a few percent. So it's really a very dry area. So we can map the surface quite well, but what's happening beneath? How do we shine the light? So we also use our biopsies, we drill. We also look at the existing drilling. What it gives us is an ability to drill through that, what we call the stratigraphy, and see the actual rocks. Where are the aquifers? Where are the aquicludes? And we can collect all the sort of properties and understand them. We also have been able to engage some traditional owners to help us working up the samples and provide employment. It's really important that this program is able to actually get jobs into the communities. So we also have done our own drilling, as I said. So we've got, it's an expensive business, and we've got this number of drill holes plus existing drill holes. So I'll just zoom into this area around the focus region, and you can see there's still only patches. So we want to be able to extend our knowledge beyond those, just those smaller number of sites that we've got. But once we're there and we're drilling, we collect water samples and we send these to the lab. And we also put tools down the holes. Not only do we extract the actual rock materials, but we also log them and try and understand what's happening down the holes. So looking at the surface water, we do a whole lot of geochemical analysis. I'm just showing one plot. What the lab results show is that the surface water and the groundwater are the same, chemically the same. And what's good is it's pretty fresh in many areas. So that's great. So the next slide will show what those recharge paths are to that groundwater. So we're from surface water into the groundwater. So these are two bores that go into the same aquifer. They see the same rain event, but they record a different recharge kick-up. So they're not being fed equally. And it turns out The one with the much lower kick-up, the one on your left, is sitting beneath those black soil plains. So those black soil plains, which are the fertile plains, are also retarding the water actually penetrating. So that's an important piece of information to understand that groundwater system. So we've got these boreholes, but that still limits our area. So we developed a technology called nuclear magnetic resonance, and it doesn't use nuclear sources and so on. I don't know why it's called nuclear, but nevertheless, it's an electromagnetic technique that's able to map the quality and the quantity of water down to about 100 metres, 80 to 100 metres. It augments the expensive drilling. So we go where we've got drill holes, we deploy this NMR technology, and we're able to then step it out and actually make a much more complete understanding of depth to water table. It's quick. We can do it in 2 hours. It's non-disturbing. So we can go in and do this, collect information very quickly. And it's when we compare it to existing bores, the results are super good. So we've got tools that we can put down the hole, but we've also got surface equipment that we can deploy out where we haven't got a hole. That's like a virtual hole. And that's the sort of data that uses it. So we can see the water table sitting there about 60 metres, bang, got it. And this graph tells us something about the quality of the water. And what we've been able to do is, coupled with the drilling, is able to develop the first ever water table map using this technique. And you can see it's like a saucer-shaped system in this area. So this is fundamental first order pre-competitive information that's important for investment. Because depth to water table, of course, has economic costs in terms of pumping. So another method we can do to shine the light below is airborne electromagnetics. And this top image is a bit like that conceptual diagram, so an interpretation on it too. What we have is this technique, we have a helicopter that pulses electromagnetic waves into the ground, they switch off and they measure the return current. And it's telling us something about the conductivity or the resistivity of the materials below. And we can do this in a wide-spaced way and map the subsurface geology beyond the drill holes. You can see we try to fly over existing drill holes so we can calibrate this. Maps conductivity. We need to link it back to geology, obviously, and that's through the logging. So the red in these images tend to be conductive materials. Now, there are various reasons why it could be. Saline water is one of them. Clays, they tend to be the aquatards in our system. Blue is the resistive rocks. They tend to be fresher water or sands, and they tend to be where our aquifers are. So first order mapping. It takes a lot of sophisticated processing and inversion efforts to actually make these images. And we're doing a whole lot of research on how we can better image these and utilise this technology. So there's the calibration points. And here's a bit of work. Looking south, so what we're seeing here is the conductivity is the red, and we can see actually this is saltwater intrusion from the north, or salty water that's come in from the coast. So it's really important to know where that is. And whether it's changing as well in terms of investment, because if you put bores into there, you're going to end up damaging your fields. So bring it all together. So we really want to go from these 2D conceptual cross-sections into full 3D maps, and then map all the various features of the groundwater system to basically give us a predictive hydrogeological map. So we're doing this very much at these regional areas. How can we then upscale that to the whole of Northern Australia? Well, we saw the airborne electromagnetics. We're doing it in a very fine, detailed way in those regional groundwater projects. But the minerals program is mapping the whole of Northern Australia with airborne electromagnetics. So this is a world first, and you can see this amazing image here. Hopefully by the end of the program we'll have much of the north covered. So we'll be able to make first-pass assessments for groundwater for much of Northern Australia with these technologies. And so it's again showing the beauty and the power of having an integrated program of minerals, energy and groundwater to solve multiple problems for the benefit of Australian people. One more thing. Keith.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, I do have more than one thing. There's a bit of a misnomer there. So my job is to explain a bit more about how we're going to deliver all of this. So you heard a bit about the why, what's driving the program, why we're doing this across Northern Australia to help people in the north and the Australian economy. You've seen some of the what, some of the amazing science that's been done in the program, some of the things that we've been discovering are just astounding and will continue to be astounding. We've still got about 9 months to go in the program, and things are starting to come in very thick and fast now in terms of the data and the processing and interpretations. So the next step I wanted to talk about is how do we get this out there? So it was very timely that Scott Morrison gave a talk last week about the focus on public service, being in touch with people and getting the services to the people that they wanted. And it was good because it's sort of something we'd actually thought earlier in the program, and we've actually been quite focused on in the sense of like who are the people that want our data and how do we get it to them. So the Exploring for the Future part of the title has also been an internal exploration as well, both across the program is how we work together for that integration, but then also how do we best get the data out into the hands of people to use it. So certainly we've been asking questions around, we're very used to in the resources space answering these sort of questions from these sort of people. So from an exploration geologist, this sort of questions like, well, where do I drill, where's the target area, and from an investment point of view is, okay, where's the next big thing that we're going to want to invest in, where can we make money in the future. And of course, the academic colleagues and from the colleagues in geological surveys, how does our data work with their data to improve understanding as well. One of the things that, particularly from a personal perspective as well, coming in to coordinate this program, was learning more about, from the planning, management and regulation side of things as well. How does our data help manage development, for example, and regulation, say groundwater, for instance, but other things as well. And from a policy point of view, it's sort of, if you're in a mainline department, Treasury, Finance, even Human Services, and you're trying to plan ahead for the next decade or more, and you need to know what's likely to happen to our regional economy. Where are the jobs going to be, what's going to happen, what infrastructure are they going to need, what services are they going to need. And perhaps most importantly, in the program we've come to learn a lot about what landholders and community leaders expect of us as well. And their questions about, I have an interest in this particular piece of land, what are the resources there so I know how to claim and I know what to expect. And community leaders simply, well, what does this mean for me and my community? What's going to happen next? So what we've done to get it all out there is, as has been alluded to a couple of times, is we put together this portal. And this has been quite an amazing thing. Again, I've been at Geoscience Australia for 15 years and we've sort of been on the cusp of having something like this, having a tool that all the data is out from the program all at once for everyone to use, and we finally have it. And that's a very, very amazing accomplishment, and I'd like to thank the developers, the program, project managers, the subject matter experts that have gone in to make this thing work. From the front end you might think, well, that's great, we've got colours and movement and things like that, but the amount of work that goes into the back end to make it tick and function and keep functioning is quite astounding. So thank you everyone that's made that happen. So, and particularly, we're at the point where we're doing a beta release of the portal now. So the purpose again of that is that we want to get the information out to people so that before we get to the end of the program they can feed back to us about, okay, what works, what needs a bit of improvement, and what other data sets would they like to see in the portal. There's the URL. I'll let you quickly write that down. But the main thing is, I'm conscious of the time and I don't want to do a shopping list of all of the things you can see. You can certainly see the layers there. So it isn't just the data from the EFTF program itself, is that we've used the portal as an opportunity to get a lot of our national data sets out into the public as well. And also huge thanks to our collaboration partners across the state and territory jurisdictions as well, that we're using a lot of the data too. So again, having that cooperation at a national scale is really, really important, and again, it's probably unique to Australia. We've got that capability. So yeah, I won't do sort of a live demonstration or anything like this, but what I will invite you is immediately after the seminar, we have a couple of laptops set up over in the Scrivener room, which is just immediately across the foyer here, and we will have a few people like Simon, wave, Simon, and a few others that will be more than happy to sort of walk you through it and show you some of the things so you get an idea of what's there. And again, we're very, very keen on hearing from you as to what your feedback is about, okay, this is good, this is the sort of data sets I'm looking for, because there's a lot there. We've taken the opportunity to put in as much as we can, so now we're sort of trying to figure out what's the most effective way of managing all of that. And it is still a little rough around the edges, as to be expected, and we're very keen to hear from you. If you're also interested, on the little table by the door there's a little business card. That's also got a little QR code URL link, so you can take the card away, take a photo, just type in the URL and go straight there, and yes, have a go at home or at work. Wait, there's more. We wanted to go beyond just simply delivering the data as well. So again, this has been alluded to in some of the case studies, is that the real power of the geoscience data that we collect at Geoscience Australia across all of those disciplines, the science data and spatial data and infrastructure data, the land tenure data, all of that, the real power of discovery comes from when we combine it. When we start bringing it together, we start working with it, doing calculations on it and manipulating it that way. So basically we're trying to move beyond a simple description of the geology of the geoscience and working towards a more predictive aspect of what we can expect to find. So we've built up a range of multi-criteria assessment tools. So these take a whole bunch of layers of different types of data, be it the geology or something the geophysics, and through some interpretation algorithm process can come up with maps like this. So this is a predictive map of nickel mineralisation across Australia, for example, based on several data layers. But the other important thing is this is also capturing some of the expertise that's in the building as well. So it isn't simply just giving you the data, hoping for the best, that you go off and find a resource, but we're also giving people the opportunity to basically use some of the knowledge and the smarts that are in this building as well, in order to start making informed assessments and interpretations of the data so they can inform their decision making. And you'll be able to see that as well across the corridor too. So one last thing, because we're right at the end of the program, so the program will finish in June 2020. But one thing we want to do is actually go up the road, and again with a focus on getting data and the tools into people's hands so they can actually use it. We're going to have a series of roadshows across Northern Australia, northern as in the capital cities that manage those jurisdictions, and have a series of 2-day workshops that will sort of run through from the very high level executive briefing style meetings through holistic science, because one very important thing we want to keep bringing home to people is the discoveries that we've made when we go cross-discipline, when we sort of start comparing and contrasting data sets between minerals, energy and groundwater, what we've been learning. And then ultimately end up with hands-on technical sessions so people can actually, with the experts who acquired that data and interpret that data, they can get a handle on that. And what's a road trip without a t-shirt? I have to point out it's not a real t-shirt. People have already been asking, we might end up being a real t-shirt. It'll be much better design than that, I can guarantee. But these in terms of hold the dates, save the date, these are the dates, the working dates that we're working towards in those venues. So again, there's a little flyer on the small table there with more information about those dates going forward as well. And if you're interested, we've also set up an mailing list too, so that you can go to that, subscribe, and we'll keep you up to date with both information about the roadshow, but data products and industry in general as we sort of head into the home scope. And that's me, I promise. That's it. Thank you very much.